started a program. It's called See Something, Say Something.
Okay.
Safety Awareness Month in Alabama. It's started November 1st, and we'll go through the end of the month. And ideally, we'll have between a little over 150 companies and reach anywhere from 5,000 to 7,000 people. And toolbox meetings, stand down meetings as we call them, and everyone will talk about, if it's a mine site, they'll talk about miners' rights, and if it's an OSHA site, they'll call it workers' rights or whistleblowing. In other words, if it's not safe, it's your responsibility to see it, it's your responsibility to do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
So you tell them, it's not, if you see something, it is your responsibility to make sure that people are aware of what the hazards might be.
Mm-hmm.
So this program started due to two recent fatalities here near Birmingham. Two young men were inside of a trench. They were digging a trench for a septic tank job, and unfortunately the collapse of the trench, no shoring, 2 men were killed. And then about a week before, in Coleman, Alabama, a 14-year-old kid working for a residential contractor was working 40 feet up in the air without fall protection and fell to his death.
Mm-hmm.
So why would you ever be on a roof at 14 with no fall protection? Or why would you ever be in a trench, no matter what age you are, with no trench box? When a trench box might cost $500 a week to rent, a man's life is... Now you have 3 families that are missing loved ones, and the 14-year-old kid will never know what he could have done.
Mm-hmm.
No telling what he could have done. Just because he was working for a contractor in the summer doesn't mean he wouldn't have been a lawyer or a preacher or a great father or husband.
Mm-hmm.
And those that we'll never know, and that's a tragedy. And I've been in this business since 1975. I've experienced 200 fatalities where I've gone and done training in 5 countries and 30 states. And after the gentleman died here in Hoover, the city we're in right now, I just woke up in the middle of the night and I said, we just got to stop this. We got to find some way to reach out to people and tell them if it's not safe, don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was fortunate enough to meet with several government officials, including the governor's office and the county commissioner in here in a lot of cities, talking about, hey, if you issue a permit, let's make sure that we're following up and make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. Because a lot of small contractors, especially the little residential, I know this is a mine conference we're at, but these contractors, it doesn't matter what field you're in, they don't attend safety conferences. They don't do that, because if there's 8 people in a company and 2 people go to the conference, they shut down.
Yeah.
So it's important that we reach out somehow. And so, as I said, MSHA was kind enough to give me a bunch of literature on miners' rights, and we've been handing them out, and stickers, and several of these handouts were in Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
And that's important, because you can talk all you want in English in a toolbox meeting, but someone's got to translate.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and OSHA gave me a bunch of literature also that's in English and Spanish. And so we're trying to reach out. I'm just glad this is in Atlanta, Georgia, or some other cities where they have a lot of Russians and other people.
Mm-hmm.
Because about 150 people lose their lives every day in the workplace. That is a lot of people. And that's why this conference, I think, has made a big difference in the mine industry. It's the largest, I believe, in the United States. We started 14 years ago in Nashville. We had a dream. Let's get people together and make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
I think we had 95 people. That included attendees, government officials, and vendors. And this year, 14 years later, we'll have almost 600 people attending this conference.
Mm-hmm.
And so the nice thing about it is more than just the class, but people get to network, and then you meet somebody and they have the same problems you do, and then they exchange business cards, and suddenly there are no secrets in the safety business.
Yeah.
People leave their logo and their egos behind,
Mm-hmm.
and there is no competition. Our goal is, and I think it's heavenly sent, because it surely isn't monetary. We don't get rich being a safety professional, but God tells us to watch over our brothers and sisters,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's what safety professionals do. They care, and they care whether you're an employer or an employee. They care that you make it home safe at the end of your shift.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why after 44 years, I keep plugging away and try to make a difference every day. And I think everyone at this conference has the same feeling. We had a pre-conference yesterday, was very successful with crane and with contractors and maintenance in NIOSH. And there were a lot of people. I say a lot of people, 50 people, but there are 50 people that shared 8 hours in a classroom,
Mm-hmm.
learning from each other, and everyone's got new business cards. I know some of them get thrown away or filed somewhere, but it's amazing when you have an issue. It's not what you know, it's who you know,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what's great. And here I am rambling on, and you want to ask me some questions. I can talk all day about this industry.
You tell it all.
Because it's a great feeling, and I'm fortunate enough with ASSP and AGC and ABC in Birmingham. We have what they call the Academy Crafts. We have 208 high school kids learning 5 trades in construction, and I get to go down there, and a lot of the leaders in our industry go down there and talk to them and mentor them and give them real world experience. And then I get to talk to like Auburn business,
Mm-hmm.
the building, and speak at conferences. And Jacksonville State has a safety program. UAB has undergraduate and graduate programs, and you get to talk to all the youth. And I'm over 70 years old, and people say, well, these young folks. I tell you what, these young folks are smart. They have deep feelings,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not afraid to ask questions. When I was growing up, if you asked a question, you got time out.
Yeah.
So young folks don't know how to just say, no, I want to know why.
Uh-huh.
Why? It's important, but it's important that we reach out to these people. They are our future. You are our future. And, a lot of people don't really get into the safety professional until they're in their mid-40s.
Mm-hmm.
And they've tried other things, and they go like, man, why didn't I do this when I was younger? Could be because it wasn't a whole lot of money when you're younger.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a great field, and this conference has grown, and I look forward to it every year.
Yeah.
So
how did you get into the safety profession then, so long ago?
well, I started in 1975. I was a millwright and a crane operator at a cast iron pipe shop in Birmingham, Alabama. And we were going to work on an overhead crane 75 feet up in the air. And I locked out the crane, and I put a safety belt with a rope lanyard. Didn't have harnesses in 1975, and it wasn't mandatory. We did it, but I just thought, if I'm going 75 feet in the air, I'm going to put something on. Now, my buddy didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's been working at this plant for 30 years, and it wasn't mandatory. So we're working about an hour, 75 feet off the ground, and suddenly the crane started to move. Now the crane can't move because I locked it out.
Mm-hmm.
But someone didn't realize we were up there, and they cut my lock off. So as the crane started to move, my buddy lost his balance, and he started falling, and I grabbed him. We both went over the bridge of the crane.
Mm-hmm.
When I hit the end of that 6-foot rope lanyard, God saved my life. I came out of the belt, caught me underneath my armpit, but I dropped Mike.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the 4th fatality that I witnessed in 6 months. I knew I didn't want to work there anymore, but I wanted to make a difference. And that day, God saved my life, but He put something in my heart to change what I could change.
Mm-hmm.
And so my goal every day since that day is if I can touch one life today. My only problem, and I don't mind sharing this, I've been working around a lot of iron workers and steel workers all my life. And when I die, I know I'm going to go to heaven. And when I get up there, St. Peter and Jesus are going to be at the pearly gates. And they're going to say, Danny, you can't come in just yet. Okay? We're doing some repair work on the pearly gates. We need you to supervise. So, but anyway, that's how I started in the business.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, I'm 71 now, and my days are just beginning.
Yeah.
I have every day I wake up. It's a great day, and I look forward to the challenges. And I can honestly say every night before I go to bed, I thank God that I didn't hear of any friends or people that I might have done business with that have lost somebody.
Yeah.
So it's a great day. How
did you first get started into safety? What was your first step sort of after deciding to leave?
Well, I left, and at that time there weren't a whole lot of safety people. Safety wasn't important. And so I did whatever it took. You know, like I got into the rigging business, the slings and wire rope and all that. And so not only did I sell it, but I inspected it. I learned what to look for.
Mm-hmm.
So suddenly I was doing what everyone else just wanted to sell it. But I wanted to make sure whoever bought it knew what to look for, what the hazards were, which was kind of unique, I guess. And so that part of it grew. And suddenly I was doing less selling and more inspecting.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started doing more training. And then back in the early 80s, probably it was, there was an accident at the University of Alabama. 2 iron workers lost their lives. And I went out to see what had happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw what was happening. And I made me do some training. And from that day on, it's been nothing but training and trying to make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had so many people help me. You know, the networking in this field is unbelievable. But if I have a question, I got a lot of people I can call. But when you've been involved in 200 fatalities to do training, you got to do a lot of research. So I've probably done more research than a lot of other folks.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, I've talked to a lot of engineers from these big companies, and they couldn't believe someone was interested.
Yeah.
And so it became, you know, people have different hobbies and they like different things. And my thing is, you know, like nowadays a camera or cell phone, for someone like you, man, that's important. And a computer, I stay away from that. I just, you know, I like to touch, feel, and go out, and I like to talk to people that have been out in the real world and find out what their stories are. And what I love about training is after I do training, after it's all over, someone that's like 65 or so comes up to you and says, you know, I learned something today.
Yeah.
And not that, boy, that was boring, just like that. So what I've tried to do is I've tried to make safety interesting.
Yeah.
I've tried to make safety fun, and I've tried to make it where everyone participates and get everyone involved, because everyone has a story. Not everyone wants to tell that story. So if you get them to loosen up and talk and share, and now you're sitting in a classroom and there's 18 people in there, and all of them have some story that they don't think was important, but it's important. It brings other people to get involved, and that's what we need. Everyone's involved. The only one responsible for us is us.
So the program that you're doing now, I know you said you pass out materials. Are you still doing that, like hands-on training?
Oh yes. Friday was the 1st of November, and so I got to go to Mercedes. They were building up a huge warehouse, and they had about 250, 275 people, and they had a safety luncheon, and they went 250,000 hours without a lost time accident. So they asked me to come talk, which was just perfect because this is the first day of the kickoff.
Yeah.
And I got to speak 6 months earlier on a different subject. So I did that. And then Saturday, there's a security guy radio show in Birmingham. And the gentleman there, they asked me if I'd come talk and promote this safety thing. So we got to talk for an hour on the radio. and got some people call in and talk about different things. And then at the mine conference, Monday we had a pre-conference, so we got to talk a little bit about it. And I've been sharing that with a lot of folks. I've been doing a lot of emailings, and then starting the last 2 weeks in November, I will be personally making calls every single day on job sites and all that, and doing toolbox meetings. But I have over 150 safety professionals that are very good at it too, that will reach out to their employees and talk about the importance of going home tonight.
They'll relay that from you.
Well, I might have brought it up.
Yeah.
I might have started it, but they're going to bring it home. They're going to cross the finish line, and at the end of the month, hopefully, we saved a lot of lives and had no fatalities. And that's our goal. Our goal is reaching out, and I know people will appreciate it. Maybe not in this lifetime, but sometime we'll be rewarded for reaching out and making a difference. And that's what's great about the safety profession, is being able to reach out, touch someone's life when they've done something bad. If there's been an accident, you don't fire them. You wrap your arms around them. They know they made a mistake. And you tell them of all the good things they've had, all the good things they've done. And then you ask them, why did you do it that way? Just want to know why. And don't tell me I don't know. Just tell me why, so we can all learn from it. And once you make a mistake, that's how we learn. And that's why I'm so intelligent. I've made a bunch of mistakes in my life.
And learned from them.
I'm learning from them. And I've learned from other people. You know, it's not easy when you're doing training. After a fatality, you go to a plant, and you got 30 people in a room, and it's in a small town in Mississippi, or Florida, or Alabama, or Georgia. And these people all went to grammar school together. They went to high school together. They all were in each other's weddings. They go on vacations together. And now after 27 years, someone dies. And now you go in there and you try to do training. It's not easy facing that person who just lost a brother or a sister, you know. And so by reaching out and touching them and telling them, we can learn from this accident. We're not looking for blame. We're looking for a story to tell, to make a difference. And so no one should die in vain. If we die, someone else will live through their stories. So my job has been a storyteller, is to tell stories so we can touch more lives and more people can go home and hug their kids.
Yeah.
You know, there is nothing greater than that. And so, you know, it's been, I've enjoyed it.
Is this a statewide campaign, nationwide?
This started out as I woke up with a dream. And it's turned into a state-run state. We got people all over the state of Alabama. We got some people in Georgia. We got some people in Florida. We got some people in Pennsylvania, Maryland. We got a lot of people going. Hopefully, you know, it depends. It would be nice if it caught on and became bigger. But as long as we touch one person today, you know. But if I touch a person and you touch a person and they touch a person every day, now you got 2, now you got 4, now you got 8. It's not long. You got millions of people touching each other's lives, and it will spread. And so that's what I'm hoping. Not, you know. My wife asked me the other night. She said, "Why do you do this?" And you know, you're retired. You're retired, and you're busier now than when you were working.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of emails and a lot of stuff, and it's just because this is my life. This is my passion. Some people play golf, some people go fishing, some people go hunting. That's not what I do. I just try to help people, and then people call me, and I do some research, and then I'll go talk to their company or do whatever, and it keeps.
Yeah.
You know, someone has to start it. Doesn't mean I have to finish it. You know, when you're an old, chunky, I say chunky. God built me this way, so if there's high winds, I become the anchor.
You're sturdy.
I'm sturdy. But, you know, if everyone would start it, I'm good at starting things. I'm not real good at finishing things.
Mm.
But I turn it over to other people, like a relay.
Yeah.
I pass the baton on.
Yeah.
And then they take it, and they go. And the more relay, the more people that are in it, the faster the runners get.
Mm-hmm.
And the more people we get, the closer we get to the finish line. And that's what it's all about. Someone's got to start it.
Yeah.
And so I'm fortunate enough to be able to start it. I'm fortunate enough to have enough people that are my personal friends that have a passion for safety,
Mm-hmm.
that say, hey, that's not a bad idea, let's try it.
Yeah.
So now we tried it, and it's gotten surprisingly much bigger. I thought we might touch 100 people or 200 people, but with all the emails I've gotten and all the companies I've talked to and all the people from people call me and say, I had a call from, of all places, out in Texas, call me and said, Danny, someone told me about this. Tell me about it. So I'm telling this story of why we need to do it. So that's pretty good. And so they were a member of a safety organization out in Texas, and they were going to bring it up, and, you know, a little flame.
Yeah.
And start a big fire.
Mm-hmm.
So that's. So I'm just a little flame. I stir up a lot of
It'll
stuff.
catch.
And hopefully it'll catch.
Mm-hmm. So how can people like find out more or reach out to you? Is there any way for people to do that?
Well, unfortunately, I'm not real good with a computer.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, like at Karen Miller at the mine, you know, in Florida, she knows my email address. She can, if you get in touch with Karen, she'll be glad to give you the information.
Okay.
I wish I was more computer savvy, or if I had a website. So someone said, Danny, you need a website.
Well, maybe that can be the next baton if someone takes that on.
If someone
there.
starts it for me, I'll be glad to
Yeah.
sit down and talk. Because as you can see, they asked me, a good friend of mine asked me to be on talk on 99.5 in Birmingham. And I was just, well, I don't know if I can talk for an hour. And they were all going like,
yeah, were they like, yeah, you definitely can.
you can. So it's great. A lot of times I've done training, 3-4 days of training.
Mm-hmm.
You know, once I get involved in something, I just love it.
Yeah.
But there again, the more people that are in it, the more they get involved. You know, the questions they bring up, the problems they have. But if anyone wants any information, they can call Karen Miller
Yeah.
in Florida Mine Academy.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they do a great job. What they have done with the mine rescue program, a lot of people aren't familiar. They say, well, that's coal mines. They started with a dream, and they took it the first year. They had 6 mining companies that were involved in this training and the mine academy, and then they had 12, and it looks like they're going to have over 21. In a couple of years they have 40 or 50. It won't be long. I mean, it's the only program of its kind in this industry. Coal has it, but metal, non-metal, they don't have it. So in Florida, they started something that everywhere else in the country are looking at it. And so it's a model. So someone had that spark. Someone started that race. And now it's on. And all it's doing is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Because people want to get involved in something that is meaningful.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to go just to another meeting. Oh, here we go. Another training class. Oh, that's boring. You know, like a lot of OSHA training, you go there and they have all these words on the board or on the TV screen, and they sit there and they read it to you for 3 hours. That's an insult to intelligence. You know, that people don't like that. Adults don't learn that way. I like to show pictures. Okay, I show pictures and I tell stories.
Yeah.
And when I do training, I have, unfortunately, some samples of some rigging that failed and people died. So when people can feel it and touch it and see it, those stories, those people that died, their story is now transferred to them, and they remember those stories.
Yeah.
And so that's how. Now there are a lot of great trainers out there that don't do it my way, but that's how I feel comfortable doing it. And so I don't try to be like everyone else.
Yeah.
Don't look like anyone else.
Yeah.
maybe look like a snowman, but it's fun.
Mhm.
So,
Okay, well, do you have any last words for everybody?
well, I just want to make sure that before you leave to go to work, that you hug your family and you tell them you love them. And when you get home, you hug them and you tell them you love them and hope you had a great day. Because 150 people aren't going to have that choice.
Mhm.
And every day is such a blessing. And we got to make the most of it and touch the most people we can touch. And it's not about you or me. It's about we.
Yeah.
And we want family.